Galilee, and today is the 19th of April, Friday, 9:47 in the morning. What I'm going to do today is cover the attack last night that Israel conducted against Iran and Syria and Iraq. And I'm going to talk to you about things that I am picking up from foreign news sources that is not being reported. And that is, there are numerous sources saying that Israel hit 7 cities or locations in Iran, not just one in Isfahan, which is the second largest city in Iran. Tehran was also hit, and some nuclear sites were hit. Okay, and we're going to get into that. And the way it looks now, it seems that 7 sites were hit. And the Americans were involved with reconnaissance flights and providing Israel jets with refueling by using their air tankers to refuel the jets. So this is going to get big, it appears. Okay, let me go into the chat for a minute while people come in, put my posts up, and make sure everything is working and we got sound and picture, which is rather important. I don't want to do a broadcast that nobody can see or hear. So far, I'm not picking up my live stream. Let me go back and see what's wrong. Maybe we're not on the air. No, there we are. Takes time to get out there. Okay, give me a minute before you post in the chat so I can get my posts up if you don't mind. Just be a couple of seconds. Hang on, I'm almost there. I'm just about done. And okay, since we're a Bible believing site, I'm going to do a praise. If you're a true believer in Yeshua HaMashiach and you want to join in, that's up to you. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so what the heck happened last night? The general news stories emanating forth from Fox and CNN and those kind of people is that Israel hit one site in Iran, Isfahan. It appears that jets flew into Iran airspace or close to it and launched missiles from the jets. This is the general consensus. Were they long-range missiles? No, I don't think so. I think they were jets launching missiles from very close to Iran. The details are still sketchy. This is just hours ago. Um, Twitter is full of people, well, quite a few people anyway, posting that 7 cities were hit. Other people are posting 7 cities were hit. And from India, which generally reveals the news without abiding by the censorship policies of the likes of America, is also saying 7 cities were hit. The other events that happened, and I think this one event happened early on, Israel took out what's referred to as the Syrian early warning radar. Now, I'll explain what this is. Iran and Syria, of course, are very close, and Iran tends to help Syria and protect it from people that want to overthrow the dictator or the ruler, Bashar Assad, whatever people call him. And they have early warning radar in Syria, so if Israel's going to launch planes, missiles, drones, whatever, to Iran and pass through Syria, Syria radar would pick it up, and the IRGC is all over Syria, so they're monitoring the radar with Syria, I expect. And then they get on the horn and they call Iran and say, bah, 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 bah. We got, some planes, drones, missiles, whatever, passing over Syria. So then Iran can, uh, you know, have people go on alert, shelter in place, etc., etc. That was probably taken out at the onset of the attack on the way to Syria. Some planes were probably deployed to do that. They probably fired Delilah missiles, which is a radar tracking missile that it's basically a cruise missile modified. It's smart and everything, and it can be fired from, I think it's a smart missile. It can be fired from aircraft or ground launchers. It picks up the radar signal, homes in on it, and blows the radar up. So Iran probably had some level of alert because the radar went down, but they might have considered this just an attack on Syria and the militias, and it probably took them a while to figure out what was going on, if they ever did. Israel also hit Iraqi militias, I believe in Iraq, yes, and also they might have hit others, militias that are backed by Iran inside Syria. But that was a side effect. The taking out of the early warning radar was not a side effect. That was a prerequisite. So give Iran less time for a warning. So people are reporting hearing explosions in Iran throughout several cities. Some of these 7 cities that they say were hit have Iran nuclear facilities in there. Now, somebody went to look at Google Earth to see if they could see signs of fire and things like that there, and they did not. Well, that surprises me little because Google Earth doesn't refresh all the time, and they're using reconnaissance planes, they're not using satellites, okay? How do you get a satellite through the firmament is a good question. Satellites are supposed to be 25,000 miles up. Come on. So nobody's flying reconnaissance planes over Iran these days, so the pictures are probably old, probably a few days or something like that. And the guy that checked this admitted that too, that it may not have been updated. Okay. Reports are American refueling planes, tanker planes to refuel the fighter jets were used, and they were also flying recon missions. It's also reported that Iran fired missiles at us from inside Iran, but I have heard nothing about anything landing, any missile, drone, or other weapon landing in Israel. nor have I heard of anything being taken down over Israel. So, number one, it may never have happened. Two, it might have happened and they were taken down by Israeli planes or American planes or British planes or who knows what. Maybe in the Persian Gulf or over Syria or in Iran, or they never reached here or over Jordan. I have no idea. Okay? Taking out Jordan early warning radar systems were not something that Israel put on the table because Jordan helped us. So that's not anything we would want to do right now. Or the Israeli government would want to do it anyway, I should say. Now, let's analyze the reaction to Iran. First, it was a general denial. Then it was, we took down American drones. Now, I do not believe drones were used in this attack. Okay, I believe it was a combination of jets and missiles in the Iranian attack. Okay, the attack on Iran. Now, I live in Israel. Okay, so you got to understand that I understand that the Israeli media is going to go with the party line from Fox and CNN. We have not yet gotten any detailed release of data from the IDF, and that may not come for some days. Or it might, I don't know. It's pretty normal for Israel to make attacks in Iraq and Syria and not always disclose what happened, especially when they attack Iran. They rarely would ever make a statement ever about what they did. Now, this was not just sending a message to Iran. That could have been done by just hitting the Isfahan air base. But that wouldn't have been that much of a response. Now, to mitigate the circumstances further with Iran attacking, well, Iran having resentment towards America, probably leading to attack on American assets, is that America reassured Iran, this is what we're hearing, that Israel would not attack until after Passover. Now, Iran called an emergency meeting of their war council right after the attack in the wee hours of the night. Now, that wouldn't happen unless it was serious. It just wouldn't, okay? So they're getting together. I don't know who's on their war council. I guess probably their Navy, Air Force, and ground force generals, defense people, and analysts of intelligence or whatever. And they probably are trying to figure out what happened. Now we get a press release again from India. And it says that Iran is recalling that intelligence spy ship they had in the Red Sea for fear of it being attacked by Israel. Okay? Now, America never attacked that ship because they don't want to get accused of starting a war with Iran. But Israel already started a war with Iran, or Iran started a war with us, or however you want to look at it. I look at it, Iran started a war against us by supporting economically and with weapons their proxies, notably the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the PIJ, and the various Iranian-backed militias in Syria and Iraq. And Israel just said they had enough and went after them. Now, Iran's going to try to play, well, what did we do? You know, we never sent our soldiers to attack you. You know, it's a pretty stupid game, you know. Israel just apparently had enough. Now, America's probably extremely happy about that Iranian warship leaving the Red Sea, because without that warship, the Houthis are not going to be able to seriously attack ships in the Red Sea. their ground-based radar, those big half domes that could be, 100 feet, or more, across, and they have to be above ground. They can be on a mountain, they can be on the earth, the lower altitude, whatever. They were taken out by the Brits and the American planes many weeks ago. So Iran deployed this intelligence slash spy ship, whatever you want to call it, in the Red Sea to locate targets, give the coordinates to the Houthis so they could launch the missile, and the Houthis would also launch drones. And I believe that and I'm not alone, that Iran would then take control of the drone as long as it was launched by the Houthis. It wouldn't be clear that they were guiding and directing the drone to the target. In spite of these measures, probably 90-95% of the weapons launched at ships failed to hit the target. So getting the Iranian warship out of the Red Sea is brilliant because it's going to stop the Houthis attacking ships. What it's not going to stop is the Houthis blowing up the internet cables. Now, Biden's the village idiot, basically, in my book. And he I don't know what he was, okay, so we accomplished that. But how is he sure the Houthis aren't going to blow the internet cables up? It's near impossible for them to stop that. The internet cables, there's 20 or 24, are very close to the shore. I would think they're probably at the maximum a mile from the shore. They could be a quarter or a half a mile from the shore, or maybe 2 miles, but they lay these cables close to land so the ocean's not that deep. So I doubt it would be more than a kilometer, 0.6, a little more than half a mile. And maybe closer. And all they need to do is make a device like, look, they just take a barrel, okay? And they fill it up with 100 or 200 pounds of explosives, right? They go out in a fishing boat, they cover it up with tarps or whatever, they get where they think the cables are, and they could just lower it on a rope down to where the cables are, and the rope could also have electric wires, and then they just, go away rolling. I'm giving it to you in a simple term, rolling out, 400 or 500 feet of cable and get out of the area and just hit the detonate, and there's going to be a big splash or explosion. Or they could use a timer. So in other words, they could just drop it and have the detonator on a 20, 30 minute or a 1 hour timer, and then just go back and get on shore, and then boom. Now you drop probably a handful of these explosives in case you're not directly right on the cable. But if you put a couple 100 pounds of explosives in it, you're going to get the effect you want. Now, they also can do this in several locations. They can do this off the western shore of Yemen and off the southern shore of Yemen and make sure they do this. Now, the SWIFT money transfer system operates through these cables. And this would probably interfere with at least a third to a half of the money transfers in the world, using SWIFT system. It would affect heavily parts of Africa, some of the Middle Eastern countries. It may affect India, probably will. Some of the maybe the Mediterranean countries will get affected. And it could affect America with wire transfers to Africa or Middle Eastern countries, and Europe to Africa and Middle Eastern countries, and back and forth. So it'll affect Egypt and stuff. So the flow of money internationally can be severely hampered. Okay? Now, if the Houthis realize they're now impotent, what are they going to do? They're not going to get in their boats and attack the United States, go across the Atlantic and attack the United States. They'd never make it there. Okay? So they drown in the Atlantic or the Mediterranean or whatever. All right, so what do? They could try to assemble a large force. They might be able to muster six digits, 100, 200,000, and build a land convoy and go up to um, Israel and try to invade Israel and help Hamas and stuff like that. The chances of them making it is probably slim and none right now, because Israel and probably America and UK and France and other countries would tell them that if their convoy doesn't turn around, they're going to blow them up. They would have to go through Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is not going to sit there and say, gee, they're really nice people. They're just going to attack Israel. They're going to leave me alone. They've had wars with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will attack them and scream for help, and they'll get it. So they don't have, right now, today, they don't have a good path to attack Israel. And I think their ability to attack the ships is going to be, maybe if they do, line of sight attacks, they might, out of 25 or 50 attacks, probably never hit a boat. I mean, maybe 1 in 100 or something. They're basically finished. They're out of the ship attacking business, the Houthis in Yemen. Okay? They can't. It's not going to work for them. If they try to get new radar, somebody, either UK or America, will just blow it up again. Remember, radar cannot hide underground. Radar has to be up, usually on a high place or clear land, like flat desert, or on peaks and mountains and hills that are up high. It works better. You can't hide your radar, okay? The Houthis have no navy capable of doing that. They could try launching small, 30, 40, 50-foot boats to float around and figure out where a ship is and try to get on the horn to Yemen to launch a ship at that location. The chances of them hitting would be like next to zero or close to zero. The threat has been removed. And that makes Biden happy. Okay? So we need to understand that Iran had caused alerts activating their air defense systems in several cities, which is inconsistent with just one city being attacked. Okay? And they called a meeting of their war cabinet, which could be the result of one city being attacked. I don't think they really did launch ballistic missiles at us. If they did, they never arrived. And they're in gross denial about this. Their denial is taking different paths, so they're conflicting with their own stories. Nothing happened. There was a disturbance in the air. Our air systems went off. Some drones came in and we shot them down. Nothing happened. Stories like this. Israel and the United States may go along with this story of just Isfahan was hit, to let Iran try and save face in an effort to get Iran to not counterattack the attack last night by Israel. Will that work? No. Not with that mentality of them, no. These people have the mentality of people that are in psychiatric prisons for the criminally insane, okay? And they are in no position to back off. So they're going to do a counterattack to our attack last night. And if we really did hit 7 cities, which there's a lot of evidence that we did, the early reports were 7 cities. And then somebody got the bright idea of putting a lid on it and calling it one city and seeing if we could probably, Iran going into denial, say, hey, let's help them go into denial. And maybe they'll just stop it and go away and everything will calm down. And again, this is Israel's approach would be to say nothing, which is often what they do when they hit Iran. They hit the oil, natural gas pipeline, they hit they just keep their mouths shut about it. And America could have decided, let's give a story. It was just a very limited attack on one location, and let's hope for the best, and it blows over. The one location was apparently a Iranian air base. Now the takedown of the Syrian early warning radar leaves Iran much more vulnerable than they were before last night. It's daytime here. Before last night, because future attacks will not be reported to them as early as they were used to. Okay? So they're sitting in a very precarious situation. They know now that their S-300 missile and aircraft defense systems provided by Russia are no good. Okay? They were used last night and they were worthless. Their air defense systems are garbage. Okay? Russia's air defense systems are garbage. How can I make that point? Ukraine has on numerous occasions hit St. Petersburg, Moscow, and other sites inside Russian territory with drones and other weapons, missiles, HMRS, I think they called it. And they were not taken down in enough quantity to stop it. That's Ukraine weapons, not Israel weapons, not America weapons. The S-300 is an old Russian anti-aircraft defense system. It was superseded by an S-400 system, which is still junk. They got that in Syria, and they don't pick us up with it. And Russia says they have another one called an S-500, which I do not believe they sell or give to anybody. They just keep it in Russia. And Ukraine can attack the capital and large cities of Russia with impunity without getting taken down. So I would not be overly concerned with Russia giving any super weapons to Iran. Now, Russia said after the attack last night that they were going to intervene. Now, that's a vague statement. What does intervene mean? Does it mean Russia's going to send 150,000 soldiers in the middle of the Ukraine war with NATO breathing down their neck and land them in Syria and ship in tanks and everything else and load up a big army and lead an attack on Israel? I don't think so. If Russia tries more expeditionary, imperialistic ventures around the world with their military, Europe will have a heart attack. And NATO and Europe will also see this as placing Russia in a very vulnerable position. And there's a lot of rumors of troops inside Ukraine from foreign countries in NATO, including French Foreign Legion. And it's highly likely that this would cause a fairly immediate troop buildup in Ukraine to shove Russia right out back where they came from. And it would be rather successful. Okay? Give me a second here. I did get the internet fixed yesterday, as you probably can determine. So, it was an electrical component that went bad. The guy felt bad. He came one day and he couldn't, and he thought he fixed it, and then he came back, the same guy, and he ran a computer test on all kinds of stuff, and then he found a faulty component and changed it. So it looks like he solved the problem. Uh, so what Russia's going to do is, they say we're intervening. Well, what does that mean? They already said they're giving Iran S-300 systems. They're junk. And giving them fighter jets, I think Su-35s or 37s or something like that. They're not stealth jets. And how many is Russia giving them? To have any minimal impact, Russia would have to give them a squadron of 25, and that would be minimal, okay? And then to come to Israel, they're going to need tanker refueling planes, which generally are not stealth, and they're easily shot down. And, Israel's not going to let Iran jets fly near Israel without shooting them down. They'll shoot them down probably over Syria, possibly over Iraq, over Jordan. Jordan's going to shoot at them. Saudi Arabia, maybe not. I don't know. If they're going to, if Russia would tell Saudi, well, we want to fly jets over and attack Israel, and the Saudis would tell them, no way, we'll shoot them down. Don't do it. And Russia probably won't do it. Jordan will tell them the same thing, no way. And Syria will say, yes, come, So would Russia land a squadron or two of jets inside Syria and then bomb Israel? I don't think so. I think Russia could maybe send warships to the Red Sea, or that's not going to do any good. Send warships to the Persian Gulf and try to make a show of force and junk like that, and basically just give them weapons. It's not going to help them. Russia doesn't have anything that could stop Israel, okay? China is going to give a lot of lip service, and they'll be a little worried because China gets a large amount of their oil, probably more than from any other source, from Iran, and China needs a lot of oil and natural gas, and they're getting it from Iran at decent prices. So, but would China actually spend billions and billions of dollars and try to operate as an expeditionary world power that can take wars, that could conduct wars many thousands of miles from home? They could sort of do that a little bit, like they could probably handle the Philippines and Japan and Taiwan and South Korea and stuff like that, but that's, you're talking maybe 300-400 miles away, starting to go thousands of miles away. China's not about to try that. That's not for them. And China's not about to go start giving them aircraft and missiles. It could happen, but I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't think China wants that kind of grief right now. So, what would be the Iranian retaliation? Well, one of the concerns I have is Iran said we'll use weapons we haven't used before. The Israeli experts that were formerly in the government and stuff are saying they doubt Iran has more sophisticated missiles than what was used last Saturday on Israel. They threw the kitchen sink at Israel. They were really trying to hurt Israel. 330 drones and missiles from Iran. Well, the drones really came out of Iraq. 130 or 150. And the missiles apparently came out of Iran. And they failed. They didn't get anywhere in their attack. Nothing meaningful anyway. And there was also, when you count in what Hezbollah was throwing at us at that time and what was coming out of Syria, at that time would bring the total up to over 500 drones and missiles. So this was an extremely serious attack that failed. Okay? And it's not that likely that in such a broad, wide attack that they had weapons that would work better that they didn't use. Iran was not trying to tap Israel on the shoulder and say, look, guys, we just sent 5 missiles at you, and 2 got in or 3 got in, if you don't cut this out, we're going to send 500, No, they sent 500 and it failed. Now Israel attacked them all over Iran. I think 7 cities really were attacked. Of course, there was reports of explosions in these places and the air defenses were activated and stuff like that. But I think it really was 7. And the war cabinet having an emergency meeting and pulling the ship out of the Red Sea. Their words are lies. All the governments of the world lie when they speak. Every one of them. Mainstream media lies. Well, they don't necessarily have to lie. Somebody just tells them what to report and what not to report, The talking heads on the TV don't make those decisions. They're told, they're given a script. This is what thou shalt talk about. Thou shalt say this, thou shalt say that. They don't just get on there and say what they want. So, it looks like it was a rather serious attack by Israel. Now, the thought would be that Iran would realize their aggression was no good, didn't work, it failed in a huge quantity, and ours did not fail. So, will Iran go back to the drawing board and say, okay, now we got to launch 1,000 drones and missiles at Israel to overwhelm their defenses? Well, if they try that, what's going to happen is there's going to be an immediate response from Israel while the missiles are in the air. You better believe there's at least 25 planes that Israel has sitting in underground bases or on above the ground that are fully loaded with weapons and gas, and the pilots got their flight suits on, and they're sitting around watching TV or drinking coffee or chatting or whatever. And when the gong goes off, they're running to the jets and they're off. And, they're going to be receiving target packages on their computers while they're en route, and that's it. And there's going to be another strike. Immediate. Israel probably has these target packages already loaded into the jets, into the computers, waiting for this. You probably don't have to upload them. They're probably already in there. And it might not be 25. It might be 35 or 40 jets waiting for this. Got to remember, we don't need a lot of jets in the air right now. Hamas is really not doing much of anything. 2 or 3 jets, can hang around, can take care of whatever the needs in Hamas are, in Gaza are. Maybe even 2 is enough. And with Hezbollah, maybe we need another 2 or 3. That's it. So maybe 5 or 6 of our jets are on standby for Lebanon, and maybe another 2 or 3 for Syria, just in case, And that leaves us hundreds of jets. So Iran, the idea would be if Iran rises up again, would be to hit them even harder before Russia or somebody else gets a chance to respond. So if Iran's going to be stupid, they would respond today or tomorrow. Now, they hit us on a Shabbat last Saturday. Most of you probably don't know this. You don't live in the Middle East. The Muslims have a Shabbat type holiday also every week. Theirs starts at Thursday sundown and ends at Friday sundown. So they were hit on their Shabbat. Remember that. Also, their leader had his birthday, yesterday and today, and they hit him on his birthday. You got that? So there was definitely a large amount of insult to injury. Okay? A lot. A lot. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat and see if I got to throw the garbage out. The haters come in and load us up with garbage. This won't take but a few seconds, I don't think. Let me see what I got here. People curse us in foreign languages because we're Israeli and all that stuff. Um, so it's highly likely that will, the Israeli government may never officially release what they targeted during the night. They may not release it. That's typical for them when they attack Iran, not to say anything. So you can expect that to be the case. So Israel, oh, we're pretty good. We're not having. I think the anti-Israel haters, the pro-Palestinian people and stuff, are not coming in here today. I think they lost face. They realized what happened. You see, their big hero was they used to come around and say, "Iran's going to destroy you. Iran's going to destroy you." That was the big hope of the haters of Israel. You know, that were usually, sympathetic or in favor of the Muslim terrorist organizations. And they're not out there today. They realize that Iran is just a bag of hot air. I was telling you this for many months. Now, let's look at the strategy here. Israel's already started getting ready to knock out Rafah. Apparently, Biden green lighted it. Now, I don't know exactly what kind of deals Netanyahu and Biden made, but obviously they made some deals. Biden misled the Iranians on purpose. So they kept their guard down. So now that means that bridge is burned. Iran won't listen to anything America says. America told them that Israel's not going to attack you till after Passover. And then look what happened a few hours ago. So now they're not going to listen to America anymore, and they're going to be angry at America. Okay? And you see, Iran was writing checks out of their mouth, let's say, that they couldn't cash. And that's what Hezbollah does, and that's what Hamas used to do. If the answer was to just have missiles, Israel would have built 1 or 200,000 missiles, put them near Lebanon, put them near Syria, put them by Gaza. That's not the way it works. You know, all the major powers of the world that go to their generals sit in war colleges and they brainstorm with each other, and they use aircraft and navy. The navy launches planes and missiles and submarines and things like this. They don't just rely on missiles. It's not a good plan. So if Iran does go chemical warhead, we got a problem. Not only us, the world's going to have a problem. Biological weapons are, I covered this yesterday in brief, they're very, very difficult to make them work. Okay? You got to have an aerial dispersion in the air, and it has to fall down on people and hit them and get on their skin, or they have to breathe it in, or their eyes, or their nose inside their system, something like that. If people are in bomb shelters like they are in Israel, it's not going to work. These biological agents, be they anthrax or something else, are not stable when they land on the ground. Okay, there's sun that'll deactivate them because they'll become unstable when the temperature rises. They're not, they're fragile, these things, right? They're, put a hamburger out in the sun and see what it tastes like after a while in the hot sun, They're going to, They could hit water and moisture. They're going to be dispersed by the wind and so forth. And the Israeli people, all the houses have bomb shelters, are not going to be out there to get it. Or if they're in their car and the air conditioning's on, it's more than likely going to have no effect. Yeah, they can intake it with the air conditioner, it can bypass the filter, but that's not going to happen because the car's moving fast. It's not a reliable weapon. What they do use that is somewhat reliable is chlorine gas. So they could put, which is a chemical weapon, they could put chlorine gas in missiles. Does Iran have this capability? This I don't know. They probably could get it between Russia and China, figure out how to get it. They might have it, they might not. Chemical weapon use is really hated by the world, the UN and all that. All Iran has to do now, after that 330 missile and drone attack, is start using chemical weapons against Israel. And there's going to be cries to eliminate the Iranian government off the earth. Okay? But Israel may send chemical weapons back at them. I doubt it, but it could happen. But then Israel would catch a lot of heat. I think what Israel would do is go in and hit, 10 or 12 new targets very quickly. The, the only way that Iran could seriously hurt us, I don't know if they're going to try the chemical and biological weapons. A lot of countries were putting sanctions on them over this recent attack on Israel. Okay? They start with chemical weapons. I don't know what the nations would do, but let me tell you what they would not do. They would not ignore it because they'd be afraid other countries would start using them, like Russia and Ukraine, for instance, most notably. Okay? So they're not going to put up with that. That's not going to happen. Nukes, they don't have nukes. Forget it. So, what, what are they going to do? They can try a massive swarm attack on us. Like, just start pouring missiles down on us and hope to overwhelm our defenses or we run out of missiles. Now, in the event that happens, Israel's not going to just sit around and wait 24 or 72 hours for them to decide they're going to stop launching at us. Planes are going to go fairly immediately and start launching at them. And our planes are not going to stop. As long as they keep it up, we're going to keep attacking. We'll be attacking the sites the launches are coming from, and we'll be attacking other things. Okay? And it would at this point be highly likely that Israel would start attacking their Navy vessels in the Persian Gulf and their infrastructure, their general infrastructure, their electricity, their water. Seriously. Israel is not going to sit there and play with the protocols of war and get destroyed. So, if you take down the infrastructure of Iran, you're going to destabilize the country, and civil war, which is a real threat to the Iranian government, would probably grow. Israel is light years away from attacking houses and malls and apartment complexes, and that it ain't going to do. It could attack Iranian military bases. It might attack strategic things like trains and bridges. And of course, if Israel pops its cork, which Netanyahu would be quick to do, what we would do is hit their natural gas facilities, their pipeline again, their oil pipelines, their oil refineries, the piers where they upload the oil and natural gas into tanker ships and launch them out to deliver it to wherever pay them for it. And in general, the peers are going to hurt them with getting food and everything else, although they can easily bring it in by land from other countries. And that will cripple them financially. But Israel is probably told to refrain from that because it would spike oil prices. Not that badly, though, because most of the countries, Europe and North and South America, and they're not buying Iranian oil because of the sanctions. India is, and so's China. And they won't like it, but India is not in a warmongering mood today. That could change. And they're not going to, go to war over us blowing up the Iranian oil refineries. That's for sure. They wouldn't do that. Not at all. They don't like China to start with, and Iran's an ally of China, so how friendly are they going to be? I don't know. Now, I can't say for sure they're going to use chemical weapons on Israel, nor can I say they even have them. I don't know. Back many years ago, when Saddam Hussein was launching Scud missiles at us, there was a fear that he could use chlorine gas, and that never happened. We don't know if he could have or couldn't have. I'll be right back, taking a fast break, and then we'll get into this. Be right back. The next insult to Iran is going to be the invasion of the Rafah area of Gaza Strip. We already have tanks and armor assembled down there as of yesterday. So this attack is probably going to occur before Passover. And we're calling up reserve units. Now, I don't know how many days they're going to need, but I would think they'd probably be ready by Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, something like that. It's not going to take a long time. Now, I don't know how long Rafah's going to take. It could take 2 weeks. It could take 2 months. I don't know. Since the civilians haven't been moved out of Rafah yet, it may not happen for a while. The Rafah crossing, in the minds of Israel, it's not going anywhere. It's surrounded. They're not going anywhere. Nothing's really getting in or getting out. So Hezbollah is a big problem right now. 100,000 people in Israel that live in the north are displaced out of their houses by the border. Okay? Yafa, go down. You don't eat nuts. Go down. Come on. Go. So, the Rafah thing, putting the tanks there, could actually be precautionary in case Rafah decides to rise up. In case Hezbollah decides to rise up. I'm sorry, in case Rafah decides to rise up because we're obliterating Lebanon. But not much they can do. So with the tanks, what are they going to do? Storm the tanks, beat it up with their fists? Can't do anything. Our tanks have artillery on them, and they have machine guns too. One is external, operated by a guy through the turret, and the other one is operated from inside the turret, from inside the tank, where the shooter's not vulnerable. You can mow them down. Our planes could bomb them. Yeah, there's not much they can do. So we could just contain them and then invade Lebanon. That's a high priority, but Iran has to be watched also. Syria doesn't seem to be presenting that much of a threat. The West Bank is a major harassment with the terrorists there that are affiliated with Hamas, Hezbollah, PIJ, etc. Things have been quiet there for a few days, so they may have run out of steam. Israel kept arresting them, engaging them in combat. It probably came to an end. They probably don't have much there. The UN was going to vote on letting the Palestinian Authority into the UN as a sovereign nation, and America vetoed it, and the UK and France, I think, abstained, which is not the right thing to do. So it failed. It didn't pass. That's dead. But 12 members voted for it. So these people want to take Israel's territory and give it to people worshiping another god, a false god. That's what they want to do. That's what the world's about. Jehovah has a controversy with the heathen over Zion. And guess who's going to lose? So there is a chance that Iran does nothing. There's a chance that Iran does nothing for a while because they don't know what the heck to do. Or there's a strong chance they fly off the handle and try another big attack. Now, with the Iranian warship out of the Red Sea, the Houthis are going to be relatively unable to stop shipping. And Hamas is deactivated. There's nothing really happening bad in the West Bank. So what we have to do is neutralize Hezbollah in Lebanon. And Biden never criticizes us about anything up there. Yet. Exactly how Netanyahu's going to move, I don't know. Israel ordered 40,000 tents. I don't know how many people a tent holds. Saudi Arabia sets tents up for the Hajj, and they hold it looks like 20, 30 people inside a big tent. So it's possible that we bought big tents that maybe not that big, but they might hold 10, 12 people. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play. Israel is now going to, sooner or later, teach the Houthis a lesson. Now, they're not the government of Lebanon. So they got little weight in the world. And they're a verified terrorist organization, which makes their voice not received. Hamas runs Gaza, they are the government, so that's different. I'm thinking the UN peacekeeping forces, they call them UNFIL, UNFIL. About 2 days ago, could be 3, but I think it's 2, went into some Hezbollah territory, and Hezbollah got mad at them, and they got scared, and they called for the Lebanese army to come extract them, because they were afraid Hezbollah would turn them into meat skewers on a barbecue. So they're worthless. The ship on the way to Gaza from America to put up that pier, for some unknown reason, had some kind of mechanical difficulty and had to abort their trip and return to America for repairs. That's been delayed. Now, I don't know how long. And I don't know if they have an alternate ship. That might be the only one they have. I don't know. I could think of no way they're going to stop the Houthis in Yemen from blowing the internet cables up, if they're so inclined to. The next thing Iran could do is these geniuses sit there and say, you know, without the Americans helping Israel, you know, we can get a lot further. So Iran deploys their proxies in Iraq and Saudi Arabia to attack the American bases and the consulates and the embassies heavily. And that's going to irritate the Pentagon to the nth degree. They're going to go nuts. Biden will listen to him, but I don't know what he'll do. If American soldiers are taken hostage and the women soldiers raped, Biden has no choice. See, they normally attack with mortars and missiles, the base, and that's it. If they use mortars and missiles extensively and assemble, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 terrorists from these militias to storm the base right after the missile and rocket attack, some of them are definitely going to get killed. Maybe 30%, maybe 50%. But these bases usually don't have much personnel. They might have 80 or 100 people. So they could overwhelm them. If they take the base over, they're going to get a lot of intel out of it. They're going to capture weapons, technology, and have hostages. Biden is going to go absolutely nuts if that happens. He'll go crazy. The whole American military will go crazy. And if Biden doesn't give the military revenge for hostages and raping the women soldiers, he'll lose the military. They could rise up against him. They could go renegade. So he's going to have to respond forcefully. And he may never get the hostages back. Look what happened to us in Gaza. They hide them in houses. Go find them. How do you do that? You don't know where they are. Whose house? Well, you know. So this is something that Iran can pull off. Using their proxies, hoping America doesn't attack them on the home front. It seems to me that America wants a war with Iran at this point. And Israel provoking it is just fine with them. I looked for American Navy vessels and other NATO country Navy vessels leaving ports. I found little. The last two days, well, the 18th and the 17th and even the 16th. What I did find was a massive amount a very large amount of American vessels pulling into ports in America. Now, this isn't so unusual, but there seemed to be a really high amount of them. Now, why would this be? Because they took the ships that are casually running around on maneuvers and practice runs and things like this, and they called them back into port to restock them, refuel them. Of course, very few are nuclear. Refuel them, load them up with weapons, maybe replenish the crew, put a new crew in, and send them to the Middle East. It was happening on the East Coast more than the West Coast, a little bit on the West Coast. Or it could be something else, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but it seemed unusual. So Biden is letting us hit Rafah without belly aching. The Congress is getting ready, supposedly, to approve a bill of $15 billion in aid to Israel. And that's a lot of stuff. I believe $61 billion to Ukraine. Well, they're very, very interested in Ukraine. They consider it essential that Ukraine doesn't fall to Russia. Most of Europe, and especially NATO, is of that persuasion. This could be an excuse for Biden to put troops in Israel to protect us. Of course, we know they're going to do bad things to us in Jeremiah 50:51. So don't think anything Biden and Netanyahu cook up is good for the people of God. I guarantee to you it's not. It's always evil for us. And It's hard to imagine Iran just going away with their hat in their hand and saying, oh, well, we're stumped, we don't know what to do. Their most likely approach would be to a much larger swarm attack against Israel. Israel's ready for that. The America, the UK, France, Jordan, Saudi Arabia are all ready for that. You know. The difference this time is going to be American reconnaissance flights are in probably watching Iran very carefully. And when we see the preps going for this, or the launches start, Israel's going to attack them during the launch to shut it down. And then after the launch. And I don't think Iran's aware of that. Attacking Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, Iraq, Syria militias. To Iran, these are throwaway assets. They don't care. Attacking Iran in the home front, they are petrified of. And look what happened. Now they know, NATO, America, and everyone else in the world knows how defenseless they really are. This makes Iran pirating more ships in the Persian Gulf rather doubtful. Remember that move they did at the same time or just before they did the Israel attack on Saturday. It did not sit well with Biden because he's not interested in seeing more closures of the waterways, especially the Persian Gulf with the oil. Converting to Judaism, I wouldn't do that. Real Judaism is the Old Testament and the New Testament. Many airlines have canceled flights to Israel for a few days. I don't know the deal with the airfares. El Al still flies. I don't know what the prices are like. The hotels and the Airbnbs in Israel are likely to be rather cheap right now. People that post in foreign languages, I'm sorry, I'm not blocking you. I take them posts down because people come here and curse us in foreign languages. So I think that's in bad taste. So I take it down. We don't understand what you're saying anyway. Okay. So what we know is going to happen next is Rafah is going to be invaded by Israel and dismantled. Okay? We don't know if Israel's going to set up a buffer zone inside the Gaza Strip. We don't know if Israelis are going to move into Gaza again right now. And we don't know who's going to administer the Gaza Strip. We do know that Israeli troops are going to stay there for a while. Now, I'm not talking Bible prophecy, I'm talking Netanyahu's policies, okay? Hezbollah is likely to not just stop. More attacks on Iran from Israel may get Hezbollah to stop. I'm not thinking that's going to happen. Israeli soldiers have already been doing limited ground incursions by commando units inside Lebanon, but I doubt they go more than maybe 2 or 3 miles. I don't know. Maybe they go 4 or 5 miles, but they're not going in with vehicles as far as I know, so they're not going deep into Lebanon. The idea would be to push Hezbollah back to the Litani River, which is about 17 miles north of the border with Lebanon. And that would mean a lot of the attacks they made on Israel would not work because Katyushas usually work at about 11 or 12 miles, and the shoulder-fired anti-tank weapons they're so fond of using are usually less than a mile, and snipers don't work anywhere near that far, and mortars would be probably the mortars they have would probably not travel that far. If they did, they'd be relatively ineffective. The chances are they lie about their weapon capability like Iran, and they don't have but a large amount of junky missiles and rockets. And I don't know what their approach would be. If they try to start launching 1,000 to 2,000 missiles a day, their lifespan's going to be rather limited. Israel will roll in with the tanks. Israel aircraft will hit target packages like Hezbollah won't believe. And Israel may take out the electric grid because do these Hezbollah terrorists have a lot of field generators, or are they mostly running off the electric grid? So one way to find out, Israel may already know, is knock out the Lebanese electric grid at large, and that's going to cramp their style. A lot of them are in tunnels, hiding in tunnels, and they probably run electrical outlets down from buildings on top of the tunnel or right near the tunnel. So without the electricity, they lose their ventilation, their air conditioning, their cooking ability, their lights. Their computers, their internet, and their phones will likely go out because they're not going to be able to recharge them. They have to go out into the surface and recharge them in a car or something like that. So it would be advantageous for Israel to, work in this regard. Israel can really open up and bomb them in Lebanon because they don't use human hostages like Gaza, because the official government of Lebanon would scream bloody murder. The official government of Lebanon is afraid of them. So they're hoping to stay out of it, but I don't know. Israel will keep them out of it unless things get desperate. What about Hezbollah and chemical weapons? I doubt it. Israel's probably very seriously looking to kill Nasrallah, but how? I mean, he's probably just staying underground all the time. How are you going to kill him? Not easily. Be hard to take Nasrallah out. It wouldn't be easy. He's well protected. And that's the state of the art as to what we got now. So remember, we're headed to Zechariah 12, which is many nations surrounding Jerusalem and Judah and drinking the cup of the wrath of the Lord and getting destroyed by the two witnesses burning them up on the right hand and the left hand. And that's going to happen between now and August 1st, give or take 2, 3, 4 days, because that would be the close of the year of recompenses. And the year of redemption and recompenses overlap, but the overlap might just be one day, the day of vengeance. That's Isaiah 34:8, Isaiah 61, Isaiah 63. The day of vengeance is associated to the year of recompenses and the year of redemption. When the recompenses is over, we go into redemption. Same immediate flow over. And that's where we see the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds. And we see that in Zechariah 12:10. The Lord pours his Holy Spirit out on Jerusalem and the house of David. And then they look, so now they're believers, and they look upon the one whom they pierced, which is Yeshua, and they get eternal life as per John 6, verse 40. The believers that see Yeshua will have eternal life, and it's a right then and there thing. So these are the events we're looking for, but it looks like we're going to have somewhat of a rocky road getting to the end. The end being where we see the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds, coming like lightning from the east to the west, seated on the right hand of power, which is God the Father. This is markedly different from Revelation 19, the actual return of Yeshua to earth, where he comes on a white horse with many crowns, and his garments stained red, with the double-edged sword out of his mouth, with millions of angels from heaven on their white horses. It's not the same event. Of course, the church doesn't teach that. I don't know what else I got for you today, because I was sort of distracted with this attack, and it took a lot of time for me to put the pieces together and figure out that it was a multi-city attack. As best I can reckon, it was. I mean, is it possible I'm wrong and it was just one city? If I really thought I was wrong, I would tell you I don't think so. Their anti-aircraft was activated in many cities. Explosions were heard in many cities. Their response to us is rather remarkable, calling it in the middle of the night emergency war cabinet meeting and pulling the warship, the intelligence ship, out of the Red Sea and stuff. They're responding. Prayer requests. First one for SH Sierra Hotel. SH Sierra Hotel. Healing and coming to faith for SH. JG Jack Golf. JG Jack Golf. JG. Help at work and help with finances. That the Lord would help him at work and help with finances for JG. I want to apologize. These prayer requests were here yesterday, and because my internet was out and I was expecting a repairman and all this stuff, and I was not operating in my normal abode, I forgot the prayer requests, and much apologies to those. I try like heck not to forget those, but it happened. Okay. Let me take a fast look while we're all here and see if I've got any more information coming through on this attack on Iran in social media. Iranians are now saying they're not sure who carried out the attack. This is a lie. They know who carried out the attack. They're just dragging their feet because they're afraid to respond. They're in serious fear right now. They don't know. First of all, they've seen Israel lift a heavy hand to them. And they've seen their offensive capability is relatively 99% ineffective against Israel, and their defensive capability is 99.9% ineffective, or 99.5% ineffective against Israel. So Israel's attacks work on them, but the Iranian attacks don't work on Israel. Iran is saying they shot several drones down over Isfahan and Tabriz. Well, I do not believe this was a drone attack. And they're saying there was no damage. So if they're going to stick to the story that nothing much happened, then why would they launch a large counterattack? Which they will. They lie all the time. It doesn't mean anything. Syrian sources report that the Atala airport in southern Syria in the Savita area was also attacked. It is a small military airport used by pro-Iranian militias in South Syria. Regarding Iraq, the echoes of explosions were heard in the sky of Babel district, and the movement of flying objects was reported around 3:30 during the night. They were probably on their way to Iran, what they heard. That's my little dog sleeping. He's quite old. Hamas calls on the Muslims to increase their ascent to the Temple Mount today and stay there until Monday, the eve of Passover, in order to protect the Al-Aqsa Mosque and prevent the Jews from desecrating it and making sacrifices there. This is fear of the red heifer. Maybe the red heifer sacrifice will go down this Passover. I don't know. I don't have any knowledge one way or the other. The Iranians are intensifying the mockery of the attack attributed to Israel on social networking. These actions, along with the statements that there was no hits, explosions on the ground in Iran, indicate that the Iranian wish to contain the incident and not attack back. It's just true. At least that's how it looks right now. Or they're giving us a wild card and they are going to attack like we did to them. I don't know. Israel's not going to trust what they say. they're going to use intelligence reconnaissance information. Reuters is now saying from an Iranian official, there is no plan to respond immediately and it's not clear who is behind the attack. So they're saying there was no attack, there was an attack, it wasn't a big attack. You know, all this trying to create an atmosphere of not knowing what really happened. Okay, it's coming out that it appears there was an emphasis in the attack on the Isfahan area, which is the second largest city in Iran, but that was not the only place that was hit. Okay, more and more information is coming in that we probably really did hit 7 locations in Iran. It's just stacking up. And Israel is not lying. Israel has came up with no official statement. They didn't even admit hitting 1 location. See what else I can find. I get my news on social media. I listen to mainstream news. I have a Telegram channel. Send me an email if you want to get on it. You got to download Telegram Messenger. Telegram has no censorship and they have 900 million users. They're great. So if you want to get on there, just send me an email. My email address is in the chat. It's also in the description box under the chat. And just say you want the Telegram invite link. It won't do you any good without the app. The app is called Telegram Messenger. I update the site with more news and Bible prophecy, mostly news, about 5 times a day at least. So if you want to get the news, 8 to 12 hours before the mainstream media around the world has it, you join Telegram. It's free, the app's free, the whole thing's free. The United States is officially saying they had advance warning of the attack from Israel. So that's saying they didn't attack, Israel did attack, and they're saying we didn't do any bombing. The U.S. Embassy in Israel told their employees to restrict their movements. Whatever that means. There's, the embassy people in, maybe in a country like France or the UK, they don't have no-go zones. But in, African, Middle Eastern countries, and tense countries, like in the Pacific region and stuff like that, where there's tension, they have no-go zones where the embassy people are not allowed to go. Israel will not accept responsibility for attack on Iran for strategy reasons not clear why. Pentagon leaked info on attack to American media. Well, I think the reason for this is they don't want to, Israel doesn't want to say we hit 7 locations, and they don't want to lie to the Israelis and say just one. And it's normal when they hit Iran not to talk. So this isn't normal. Why America told them that is probably to infuriate Iran to taking a poke at America, and then there's going to be, I think, a unified Israeli America plus other countries war on Iran. Ukraine says they shut down the Russian long-range strategic bomber. Oh, it's also reported that there's B-52 bombers in the area, and it might be in Cyprus, which is close enough to strike. I'm not sure. More information about that is lacking. B-52s carry 84, I think they're 500-pound bombs, 84 each one. That's massive. And they also can carry 25,000-pound bunker buster bombs. So they can carry a lot of stuff. So why did they get deployed here? There has to be a reason, right? I don't think you're going to see Iran call it quits and just say, okay, we got beat, let's just go back and grow pistachio nuts. That's the last thing that you should expect is going to happen, okay? That's the last thing. Don't think that. They're probably being coy and acting like they're not going to do something. But they can't. But they're stupid, really. These people, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the PIJ, and so forth, they're like psychiatric prisoners in a psychiatric jail. They're lunatics, serial killers, and they're not like soldiers. They came into Gaza. They cut fetuses out of women while they were alive. They put a baby in an oven to roast and kill it. They took women and children, tied them together with wire, and lit them a flame and burned them alive. Soldiers don't do this. These are psychiatric cases. Now, the sleeper agents in America could be unleashed. Remember, I did that important video yesterday on missiles being concealed inside of normal shipping containers, 40-foot containers. Remember, you should watch that if you didn't. I put it up yesterday on my YouTube. It would be in the live section, not the video section, live section. So the sleeper agents, it could be time for them to get launched in America. I don't know. The 9/11 system in several states in America went out. I think it was yesterday. And that's probably some type of hack attack by a foreign power. That's a guess. How dangerous that is, I don't know. Israel's got the GPS systems deactivated in Lebanon, Syria, I think in Iraq, which is for our safety. It'll deactivate. Drones won't be able to use GPS to make attacks, nor with missiles. So there you have it. I don't know yet what's going to come next, but I would expect Passover something. Let's look at the, I gotta get rid of this. Let me look at the rabbi's calendar. They don't have the right dates, but the Israeli people go by what the rabbis tell them, unfortunately. Let me check it. I think it's Monday night, but let's find out. that would be a likely date for their counterattack from Iran. Um, okay, it's Monday, which, let me look at the calendar. I think it's the 22nd. I'll tell you in a moment. April 22nd is a Monday, and it goes, so it starts the 22nd at sundown, and it stops, I think, sundown on the 29th. I think it might start Sunday. I don't know. It's a week, so it'd be Monday night to Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday. Yeah, Monday night. They don't have a Pesach one day and then an unleavened bread for 7 days like the Bible. They just have a 7-day holiday. They deviate from the Bible. They don't follow the Bible, the rabbis. They have a book called the Talmud, which in their minds supersedes the Bible, which is rather absurd. But that's when I would think Iran would do it, Monday night, to upset our Passover. That's my take on it, when they'll do it. So I'm sorry I didn't do a big Bible study today, but I got up reasonably early, around 6, and went to work, and I saw this happening. It started that I got an email from one of the people I communicate with frequently, and asking me if I was okay. I slept through this whole thing, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then he told me he heard about the attack, and then I went and started researching it, and I got rather well infatuated with it because I was having a lot of trouble determining how many locations were hit, which was very important, and how the hit took place. So I had to go and scour videos from non-American, non-Israeli sources, and getting information from the Iranian social media. I've long ago decided it's impossible. They have such control over their social media. You get soccer games, you get, the price of cheese, you get nothing from them. Nothing. An apartment building was built, a bridge was built, a train broke down. You get nothing from them. So I had to start going to other countries. India has a habit of releasing news that the other countries suppress. At times, the UK will do that also, although as of late, I think they have stopped. And the social media from the Arabs, like Hamas and Hezbollah and stuff like that, they're going to just reflect the Iran party line because they're not there and they don't know what happened. So they're not going to be that, So the early reports were 7 cities, and then the blackout hit, and then the reports were Isfahan only, and the psychology was to make it easy for Iran to go into deniability, and then why would Iran do a counterattack against Israel if nothing really happened? But if nothing really happened, why were explosions heard in several cities? Why were the air defense systems activated in several cities? Why did they all of a sudden withdraw their warship? And so forth. Okay, so there's a lot of things to watch for, and Yeshua said, watch. And that's what we're doing. A lot of people don't like that. They just want Bible studies, and that's great, but there's only so many Bible studies in the Bible and prophecy that indicate or lead us to what's going to happen. And we've pretty well covered what I think is most, or if not all, most of them. Okay, I can't tell you for sure there's not any other Bible prophecies, but we've covered quite a few of them, so we know what's going to happen. And we know time is short, and the Lord showed us when the year of recompenses started, which was on or about August 1st. So the new year started February 11th, 2024. So we know these things, okay? $1 million question: is the red heifer sacrifice going to go off on Monday or Tuesday or whatever for the Passover holiday, or before? I don't know. It would at this point seem appropriate as a slap in the face to Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, the Houthis. It would seem that that could go down for the slap in the face, the insult. Hey, let's check the gold and the silver and the oil. We didn't do that. I did it a few hours ago, and silver and gold were up. Let's take a look. That will be interesting, because now word got out about all this stuff. So let's see what we get. Let's check spot oil. I don't see much. Let me take a better look here. $82.81. And it doesn't look like much happened with oil, okay? Not much, nothing serious. Let's go look at spot silver. Silver's performing nicely, 28.20. So it's gone up in the last 6 or 8 weeks, probably by about $5, which is a lot considering it's only at 28. It was at 23 not long ago. So silver's moving nicely, and we still haven't seen big catastrophic events yet. Let's go to gold. Gold's performing nicely, 23.81. Now, the next barrier is getting very close. It's almost at 24. The next, what they call resistance point, is 2,500. That's not a massive resistance point, it's a substantial one. 2,400 is not a big resistance point, but a resistance point. Now, when gold breaks 2,500, which it will when the current events push it to push more tension, it's not. Now it may rise later in another 6 or 8 hours too. I'll check it. The when it breaks 2,500, and oh, it will, you're going to start seeing a lot of people paying attention to gold that weren't that interested in it before. And what I think is going to happen is this: if you were going to buy paper gold, in other words, you're going to a stock market or through a bank and you're investing in gold or silver, but you have no ability to collect the physical metal, okay, that's paper gold or silver. That's garbage. You should never use that. those prices will match what's being published. But if you go to a dealer and actually want to buy gold or silver, what I think you're going to find is a much higher price. Like 2381 is probably going to equate to $2,400 when you go to actually try to buy it today, because I don't think they're going to have that much inventory, as a guess. Okay. Now, the breakaway on gold, where it's really going to start to go wacko, is at 3,000, not 2,500. But if it breaks 2,500, the travel period from 2,500 to 3,000 could be very brief. It depends on what's breaking loose in the world. And when gold goes to 3,000, and you're going to find there's a lot of people wanting to buy gold, physical gold. The people with the paper gold, that's a joke. Okay? They have basically an unlimited supply of paper gold. It's like Federal Reserve notes. You're not investing in gold. You're playing some market. It's insane. Don't do it. You got nothing. It's backed by nothing. But you go and you try to get physical gold, at $3,000, and they're going to tell you, we don't have any at $3,000. We got some at 3,060. Because they get very little people selling it, because people are going to try like crazy to hang on to it so they could ride it and it gets higher. And there's going to be a large amount of people that want to buy it. So the price is going to keep rising. And then when people realize it's tough to get gold and you got to pay a lot of money over spot, maybe 3 or 5% even. Okay, 5% would mean 3,000. You're going to pay 3,150. People are going to want to gravitate to silver all of a sudden. And when the breakout happens, it's be relatively easy to see silver double and triple, even quadruple, because it's an affordable way to get in. When gold is over $3,000, a lot of people have a little bit of money they want to invest, and they don't want to just buy one gold coin. They'd rather buy a bunch of silver coins, because if you're going to use them for bartering, in the event of the eggs hitting the fan, you're likely not going to go out and want to buy a rare Arabian horse for gold coins. You're going to be interested in medical and food and water and things of this nature, and the silver would be more appropriate bartering medium. So silver will go up, So if you see gold go up $600 or $700 or $800 and $900, it's not that hard to imagine silver going up $40 or $50. Okay, it's not that hard. So you have to look at it not in terms of the multiplier effect. Look at it in terms of, well, it's just going up another $40, $50, $60. Okay. Now, I don't know how high silver would get, but I wouldn't be at all gold. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see gold hit 5,000. When the wars start, Jeremiah 30 verse 11, and things like that, the prices are going to go high. Let's look at the currencies. Let's see what's going on with the currencies, because that's also going to tell us stuff. As the currencies get weak, the gold and the silver grow stronger. All right, let's take a look at, we'll start with the shekel and the dollar just to get a feel for what's going on. Well, the shekel's rising in value now. It's probably going to continue rising. All right, let's see the US dollar compared to the euro. Euro is down. The euro is $1.06, so €1 would buy $1.06 in American money. Okay. Now let's look at the British pound, which usually runs on the high side. One British pound will buy $1.24. So it's doing pretty good. It was in the $30s, but it's still holding its own quite nicely. The Canadian dollar usually around 66, 69 cents, 72 cents. The Canadian dollar is doing a little bit stronger, not substantially, but a little bit. The Aussie dollar usually is weaker than the Canadian. The Aussie dollar is quite weak, 64 cents. So 64 cents American buys one Aussie or one Australian dollar. Let's see. The other one I want to look at is Swiss franc. I don't remember the call sign for that. I can type it in. Oh yeah, it's CHF. That's it. Swiss franc's doing nicely. One Swiss franc buys $1.10 American. Let's see what a dollar buys with Iran. This ought to be funny. I think they call their garbage money the Rial, R-I-A-L. I thought it was R-E, R-I-A-L. $1 only buys 41,734 Iranian rials. How about that? That means you pretty much need a wheelbarrow to go buy a loaf of bread, let alone a basket of currencies. Let's see what the Lebanon pound is doing. So you're going to see the currency of the enemies of Israel, how bad they are. $1 buys 91,526 Lebanese pounds. Okay? Getting the picture yet? Let's try Iraq. They call it the dinar. $1 buys 1,313 Iraq dinars. In other words, it's garbage. Let's try Syria. I don't know what they call it. I think they call it a pound. Yeah, Syrian pound. $1 buys 13,001 Syrian pounds. Did I do Turkey? No, I don't think so. They're the ones that keep threatening to kill us. $1 buys. No, I don't think this is it. No, it didn't go through. $1 buys 32,607 Turkish lira. And let's see what kind of garbage money they got in Yemen. $1 buys 250 Yemen rial. And let's get a comparison going here. Let's try Jordan. I don't know what they call that money. Oh, they call it dinar, Jordanian dinar. Okay. $1 buys 70 cents on a Jordanian dinar. In other words, one Jordanian dinar buys $1 and 41 cents. It's a strong currency. You see the difference? Let's try Saudi. The Saudi Arabian rial, $1 buys 3.75 Saudi Arabian rial, so it's about equal to the shekel. That's hardly a garbage currency. Let's take a look at the UAE. Oh, that didn't work. No, let me try something different. Dubai. Let's try United Arab, I guess. Um, $1 buys 3.67 UAE dirhams, whatever they call it. Let's try Kuwait. See, it's just the countries against Israel that have this garbage. You see the point here? You see the God working? The Kuwait, $1 um, is worth 30. Okay, the Kuwait dollar, the Kuwait dinar buys 3.24 US dollars. It's very strong. Maybe one of the strongest in the world. Let's look at our other friends, Russia. See how God's working? They don't ever talk about this. The church people don't ever talk about it. One Russian ruble buys a penny. An American penny, 1 cent. One Russian ruble is worth 1 cent. Let's take a look at China. The yuan, whatever they call it. One Chinese yuan is worth 13 American cents. So you could see how the Lord's working here, I think. It's obvious, you know. Nobody talks about this, so they don't want you to know that these things are going on. They don't want any water going to God, and they'll soon be leaving the earth. Okay, so again, this is very important that you understand these things. The train moving down the track towards Zechariah 12 has left the station and it's barreling down the track, as you can see. It's moving very fast. And Jeremiah 30:11 says God's going to destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into. And this is during the birth pangs. Now, and this is probably 100 to 125 countries. Those of you in Europe, Central, South, North America need to understand that this is going to affect you. Okay? So I'm putting a real emphasis on this. This is not a light event, what happened a few hours ago with us attacking Iran. It was a serious attack, and I don't know what Iran is going to do. But let's just do the Middle East logic again. If Iran goes into denial and says, well, you know, we're afraid to attack them, we can't hurt them, they can hurt us, let's just deny it, then Israel's going to start wiping their feet all over the Iranian proxies. Okay? And then Iran is going to have to go lick their wounds in the corner, and they're not going to have the reputation of being the big bad wolf anymore. They're going to be more like the mouse that roared. Remember, you're dealing with mental cases. You're dealing with the criminally insane. Okay? they just turned their morality police loose on their women because they were wearing hijabs, but they were wearing them carelessly. Unbelievable the oppression on women that these Sharia law countries impose. You know, yeah, it could be 110 degrees, 112 degrees. You know, Dubai, UAE hits 120 in the summer, and the women run around with hijabs on 120. I'd be sweating bullets wearing t-shirts and shorts with sandals. You know, people have told me that they cut the hands off the thieves there, and they take breaks when it gets hot. I don't know if they start at 12 or 1 or 2, but I think they come back to work around 4, maybe 5 o'clock. In other words, during the real bad heat of the day, they they just go home and they probably have, air conditioning, and they just stay out of the heat. And then when it starts to cool off, which is usually about 4 to 5 o'clock, then they start opening the shops again. I mean, people have told me that they don't lock the doors on the shops because people don't want to rob anything and get their hand cut off. How true this is today, I don't know. But it was that way years ago. I don't know anymore. So we got a lot of interesting stuff coming our way. The attack on Rafah. There's going to be some very heavy attacks on Hezbollah. I promise you, heavy, heavy, heavy. And Iran is the mouse that roared. So I'm Moshe, my wife. Please pray for me and my wife for our peace, safety, protection, joy, and healing. And pray for our finances. And thank you for those that give offerings. And pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. And pray for better videos. And I'll try to keep you posted. Now, if you're interested in hearing from Israel 8 to 12 or even 16 hours earlier than you're going to get it on American or European media, what's going on, subscribe. It's free. And then click the notifications bell so when I come on with emergency updates, when the eggs start hitting the fan, I do live streams on an emergency basis several times a day and night. You'll get notified and you'll know about what's happening many hours before the mainstream media is going to give it to you. And I try real hard to make sure I give you the real news, not the party line in these countries, And please give this a thumbs up. And I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I hope you got something out of this. And this stuff is real important. Some of you don't think so, but it's very important that you know these things so you don't go into panic when it really gets serious. I'm out.